Hi there. In this presentation, my little pink angel symbolizes the relationship of human consciousness to the divine or to the psychic or to the occult, whatever, or to something imagined or believed to be real or actually real. Now, you sort of have to be careful here because it could be that this little pink angel is in fact a central symbol in your religious tradition, and so the little pink angel, or just the pink angel, has to be involved in some way in your religious practice, in your ritual. It has to be, I suppose, it could be prayed to if you're a pagan, but it certainly has to feature in your iconography, and you have to contemplate the meaning of this pink angel. And in fact, it's actually what they call bios, which is your religious requirement. You're actually required to do this in order to be part of the traditional religious community, or the community of your particular religious tradition, which is a more accurate way of saying it. And bios is very important. Bios is something that links communities together and links people within a religious community together. It's something that, you can even create a sort of collective aggregate spirituality or psychic connection between people by using this pink angel as a main focal point for your religion. And so it becomes a very powerful symbol, but it also might become an actual, it might become a mrtya, which is the actual living entity, which is associated with the central sculpture of the temple. So not just a work of art, an actual living being of your particular temple. This is sort of, according to Hindu tradition anyway, non-Upanishadic tradition anyway. So you have the pink angel is here a very, very important part, but it's a part of your, as I say, of your culture. You've grown up with it. It's part of your collective unconscious, part of the collective unconscious of your religious community. I can't speak anymore, and so that's it is very important, and something which obviously people can't. They can't poo-poo. They can't denigrate your pink angel, because might be racist. It's certainly culturalist. It's certainly it's certainly even counter hate crime, I suppose, to in any way disparage or mock this pink angel, which is so essential to your religious tradition. So that's sort of external religion taken care of. That's exoteric religion, as it were, which also binds people to a promise to behave in certain ways, which are pro-social. So that Stefan Hoyle says, that we need religion because and tradition, because linked to this tradition, this religion, this is a reconnection to the spiritual via the moral. And the moral must be upheld. You can't just believe in anything. You can't just say, the means, the end justifies the means, sort of thing. So there has to be a moral dimension to spirituality, particularly in this world where it's possible to start believing in anything and start being consumed or even, I suppose, possessed by passing entities from the demiurge, which will encourage you to do practically anything in the name of spirituality, including, the abuse of minors and things like that. So, we need a moral tradition, religious tradition, upholds certain norms, values, and norms and values which are important for society to remain functional by. So then we look at the pink angel. I mean, certainly tradition So that's important, really. And the religious requirements, important that you satisfy those religious requirements as a form of self-discipline, if nothing else, really. Now, I suppose if often we find symbols, I suppose that this pink angel is featured heavily in books and movies and things like that, and you might derive significance from this pink angel. It might have some meaningful, might become a meaningful symbol in your life, and it gives meaning to your life as well. So that's a kind of important consideration. And we see here giving meaning to your life is something which is quite, which stands central to this entire sort of presentation here. It's like at the center of all things is the meaningfulness that is derived from contemplating or experiencing this pink angel or deriving symbolic power from it. Now, of course, if I just saw a pink angel in my bedroom, it's possible that that's an hallucination, and that would obviously indicate some psychological problems, issues unresolved. Obviously, drunkenness or hallucination through drugs or whatever, but not through the shamanistic use of drugs, but just through some sort of kind of ravey scene use of drugs, and hallucination stops right there, really, and that's a dysfunctional aspect of this pink elephant, pink angel, but it could be a pink elephant, couldn't it? It wouldn't matter. It would be just an hallucination, and it wouldn't have any meaning apart from indicating psychological problems. Now, you could be a secularist, humanist, materialist, atheist, and you say, I tell you what, I'll close my eyes and I can imagine a pink angel. And they say, look, I've imagined a pink angel, so what? What does it mean? It doesn't mean anything. I might as well be, I'm not hallucinating, but also I'm just imagining a pink angel. Perhaps I've seen one in the movies and or perhaps I've had a dream of one, but so what? And all these things are, of course, connected in some way, all these little categories here. And we come on to here this thing called visualization, which is not just someone closing their eyes superficially and imagining a pink angel. This can involve actively, consciously visualizing a pink angel, which is of significance only insofar as it, again, can sort of evoke a certain emotion in you or a certain connection to a powerful symbol or collective symbol or individual symbol. So again, I suppose it's part of your search for meaning in life. But again, although it's used in magic quite a bit, this sort of conscious visualization. It's not the only way to visualize. Sometimes you can visualize things that are projected onto the back of your eyelid, which is discussed before. And sometimes these images just spring into your mind, or spring. You shut your eyes and there's an image there. It's very detailed, very powerful, very persistent. And what? But if this image is accompanied by an experience of what I call here X, the Gnostic experience. It's an experience of something other and something greater than yourself that is connected or associated with this particular image. And if this is the case, then it could be that from this Gnostic experience, this knowingness of God, of something higher and something other and something more than yourself, that you are going to go into not only an establishment of meaning in life, but you could also be confirming or some way or confirming the assumption, a metaphysical assumption, that this pink angel does indeed refer to some metaphysical state or metaphysical reality. That is important to you to have this metaphysical assumption, But then again, maybe it isn't, and maybe you're just going to sort of derive a Buddha nature or cultivate a Buddha nature as a result of this entire experience with the pink angel and your sense of knowingness associated with that symbol or with that image. So, but I think it's certainly different from just superficially having an image in your head and saying, so what? It becomes incredibly significant, either for cultivating a Buddha nature, a higher nature, or a true self, or for cultivating or confirming the assumption of some metaphysical state, some metaphysical dimension or reality. So that's very, very important. And again, from that, you start to live a contemplative life of the Gnostic as a result of having a Gnostic, having experience of a luminous experience, as people call it. Some people call it. So again, there are lots of different ways of experiencing this pink angel that I presented here. And it could be, of course, as a result of your Gnostic experience that you actually found a religion, perhaps not a religion in terms of bricks and mortar, or even necessarily offline community, but perhaps you just present your findings or your experience and you publicize your experience on the internet. And some people, click the like button and say they like it and and comment on it and agree with you. And then you form a sort of online community at the very least as a result of your numinous experience. And whether or not the pink angel, how that leaves this pink angel in terms of what it actually is, perhaps we've transcended the question, what is this pink angel? And we just decided it is something that is associated with meaning, with indicating a connection with the divine. And that's what's important about this pink angel. Or it may be part of your religious tradition, in which case, again, it transcends, it's beyond argument. You're not going to argue with it or argue with its symbology or say it should be a green angel or a blue angel. It is what it is. And your religious community is what it is as well. But this is certainly more, perhaps, is this more powerful than just seeing a movie or having a dream about a pink angel? I think it's certainly more powerful than just saying it's an hallucination, and being convinced it is an hallucination on one hand, and just visualizing something for no reason on the other. Certainly, if you dream of something, or if something pops into your mind as a result of exposure through some medium, then you could say that is certainly living life a little bit more fun, a little bit more significantly than just the atheist or the person that has a psychological problem. But it might not go as far as a person who associates the experience of the pink angel during a visualization session and associating it with a connection to the ultimate reality or the divine or God. So you can almost have three tiers of experience. There's just there's the numinous experience associated with the pink angel. There's the experience of its meaning of it as a powerful symbol in your life, and then there's just the experience of somebody who's just doing it superficially, or somebody who's actually seeing a pink angel in their bedroom because they've got some psychological problem. And I think always, I said before, I think always there was a distinction in the past between shamanistic experience on one hand and people that needed a shaman on the other because they were experiencing psychological difficulties, and seeing blood running down the walls, for example, and they said, this isn't a shamanistic experience, this is a problem. This isn't a blessing, this is a curse. And then you went to a shaman who might see the very same thing, but if the shaman saw the very same thing, this was more significant than you seeing it. If you saw blood running down the wall, that was a problem. But if the shaman saw it, or saw it within you, then that was a gift of healing. That was a connection. The shaman was reconnecting you to the spiritual, to the real, and taking you out of ignorance and darkness and hallucination and psychological distress, into a place of peace and calm. Um, and so then this begs the question about, the question of experience and authority, social authority. It's okay for the people in charge of society to have experiences, but not the people that are being ruled. Somebody said recently, she suffered from OCD, and she said, obsessive compulsive disorder, about germs. And she said, now I'm being told to do the very same thing that was labelled before as psychological problem. Obsessing about germs, and now we're supposed to obsess about germs during this coronavirus catastrophe, or crisis. And she was sort of saying about the irony of that, and indeed that is ironic. But still, I I suppose that's a bit of a separate point I've raised there. Really, it's got nothing particularly to do with this discussion or presentation. And so to go back to this, really, I think that if you experience anything, and it somehow, in some way, confirms the metaphysical assumptions that you have, that you've taken on board in some form or another, then that this pink angel, for example, becomes incredibly important in your life. But I suppose it's not as important as your connection with the divine. And certainly, perhaps your connection with the divine transcends the pink angel, as a symbol, as an image, or whatever. Whereas, of course, the pink angel remains a pink angel for those who don't connect it with the connection with the divine, as it were. If that makes any sense. So you start off from pink angel and you go to an assumption of metaphysics, and is this a higher experience than the person who just comes in contact with a pink angel and just says, "Oh, this means something to me, or to my community," but but it hasn't got much more significance than that. So that's a psychological significance. So again, is metaphysics higher than psychology? Is psychology higher than mere superficiality, than art, for example? Because of course, you could paint a pink angel, and then if anyone asks you, you could just say, "Well, that's just art, isn't it?" I don't know. I don't know what it means. It's just art. It's just what I painted. Go away. I don't care. I'll sell it for $100. I'll sell the painting. That's all I care about. So is that kind of lower than psychology, or basically all these things? Is that hierarchical way of looking at things a mistake? And they're all just aspects of something, which we might call the one. Whether we're talking about somebody who's painted a picture and is going to make money out of it, on one hand, or somebody that associates this pink angel with a connection to God's kingdom. And I don't know the answer to that, really. And maybe the question is superfluous and superficial, really. I suppose it's wherever your consciousness is at. Really, if your consciousness is at making money out of pink angels, or your consciousness is going towards some completely different dimension, then, or your consciousness is focused on the pink angel as a icon of your religious tradition, in which case to focus on that pink angel is in fact to be a moral person, or to acknowledge morality in your life. So I don't know how useful this presentation has been, really. I suppose if you're sort of enveloped in a world of psychology, or just thinking, this, I'm looking for symbols to mean something, like something practical in my life, or whether you're looking at something which has a Gnostic experience attached to it, then it might be quite good to be able to distinguish between the two categories of Pink Angel. In fact, to distinguish between all the categories of Pink Angel that I presented here, it might be useful to be able to distinguish between the two, because between all these categories, because then you might have an idea of what it is that you have experienced, if you experience a Pink Angel in any shape or form. And that might be very useful. In fact, that might be quite essential, and might be the difference between you being a shaman and you being a mad person. You know what I mean? So that's why I took it on myself to present these categories, and why I choose to present categories as I do when talking about Gnosticism, because I think otherwise you could get very confused about what's going on. Of course, you may find all these categories so confusing that you're tearing your hair out and saying, you know what, shut up. I had a Gnostic experience, or I'm a Gnostic. Live with it. I live with it. Get over it. Do you know what I mean? So, in which case, you're just going to give us a big thumbs down. This video, really. I don't know. It's up to you. It's all up to you, really, how you choose to react to anything that you experience on the internet, I suppose.